Hello everyone and welcome along to the latest edition of Betting Weekly Game Bet Match. It's the #1 YouTube show and podcast all about betting, all about the world of tennis. I'm delighted to say joining me as per usual on a Tuesday afternoon is our senior ATP Tour handicapper. It's Sean Calvert. And he's rain I can hear in the background. This is the man who was laughing at me about coming over here in my umbrella. I can hear a bit of rain there, Sean.
I don't know about hearing. You need to put your microphone on, don't you?
Is it off?
No, it was nowhere near your mouth, so I couldn't really hear what you're saying. I caught it. Yeah, I caught the general gist of what you're trying to say. You're mocking me for the fact that I'm sitting here in a building which this microphone's really good. I don't know whether you can pick up the rain, but it's absolutely hammering it down here. And where you are in Geneva, of course, they've had the rain came last night, didn't it? So it was all overnight. It rained quite a bit, I think, last night, but obviously today, you know, you've been there. Beautiful sunny day today, and I'm getting the rain. So that's kind of how this year's been for me, to be honest, isn't it?
Well, I mean, I must admit, the clothes I've packed, I've got rain jackets, I've got cagoule, I've got hoodies, I've got one T-shirt and a polo shirt, and my face is about as red as the curtains behind me. I mean, it's been absolutely glorious today. The sun has been beautiful. Walking around Lake Geneva, it's absolutely picturesque place. It's a beautiful place if you ever get the opportunity to come out here. But I might be a little bit...
So you didn't take sun cream?
I bought nothing. Paul has burnt. My missus is with me. She's burnt. She's gone to Dubai, come back whiter than she went to Dubai. She's gone to Las Vegas in 100 degrees and slubbered herself on with factor 50 at every single opportunity.
Yeah,
and half a day in Geneva, and she's burnt. But yeah, I mean, got the weather forecast completely wrong. Glorious. So hopefully, but it doesn't last long, though, does it?
Well, it said thunder showers. I think on Sunday, if it misses the direct area where the tennis is, or specifically where you are, then you're all right because it's not cold. It's warm. It's just the thunder showers. If they hit, you got a problem. If they don't, then you're fine. I think Wednesday's forecast looks like it's going to be an occasional shower, but pretty much okay for most of the day. So you should be all right tomorrow as well. I think Thursday looks dodgy though. Thursday's
the dodgy day, and that's the day we're on the day trip out to the Alps to look at this beautiful French village called Annecy. I think it's called Annecy.
No idea.
The raincoat may come into action there. What do you think of the tennis so far? Have you been watching the action today?
Yeah, I mean Geneva when it's dry or not wet specifically is it's quick. It's a court that you can hit winners on. Big servers go well. It's a very difficult week this week because we don't know exactly what the weather's going to be. You look at the forecast and you plan for what they say it's going to be, but if it isn't, then you've got a problem. And obviously you've got a lot of withdrawals that have happened already this week. You've got players that some are committed, some aren't. You're kind of guessing at who is kind of up for it and who isn't. So it's a tricky week for sure.
Yep, and it was a tricky week for us. Our outright pick Marijan was beaten in round one, so not so great there. Obviously, but the thing is, though, the last time we spoke, we wasn't quite sure about Zverev. He cashed for us, so we had a winner of Zverev last week in Rome. That was a good thing, and that's taken our profit up to a very healthy. Let me get the list here now. I think it's around about 15 units, something like that. I think it's so. Looking good so far. Obviously, Marijan's got beat, but it's all good. 12.31 units. 12.31 units. My apologies.
Okay, that's pretty good. With the outrights, it is feast or famine with the outrights, isn't it? You're getting 12-1 winner, 14-1 winner. You're not going to get that every week. There are going to be some weeks when you lose in the first round, whatever you do, and generally they come after you've had a good winner. Generally, you lose in the first round. There's no rhyme or reason to that, but you're not going to hit an outright every week. Otherwise, the profit would be off the charts, wouldn't it? Funnily enough, like it was the first year we did it. We hit loads of outrights, didn't we? The first year when we were doing, I think we were just doing one show a week then, weren't we?
And we weren't keeping any records.
Yeah, we weren't keeping any records. So, yeah, the outright it's high variance stuff, So that's how it is.
Tomorrow's action starts at 5 a.m. Eastern Time. Head across to the BetRivers website. Both tournaments this week start at 5 a.m. Eastern Time. They're here in Geneva and in Lyon. I'll be at the tennis tomorrow. Sean has pinpointed 4 matches that we're going to discuss today. But before we do discuss them, Sean, we're going to look at in action tomorrow's Novak Djokovic. And I think a lot of people are going to be watching Novak Djokovic. We haven't got an official.
I'm not sure he's playing tomorrow. I wouldn't be surprised if he's on Thursday. They normally keep the big names till Thursday.
Well, that's good for me. That's another disaster because I'm going tomorrow. I was hoping to see Novak Djokovic.
I say normally.
Murray. Yeah.
Well, yeah. I mean, Murray's not long for this tennis world, is he? Unfortunately, he's got very little left in the tank. I don't know whether he's going to retire after the Olympics or... I suspect.
I thought you were summing up Seeley in this tennis world. He's not long for this tennis world. There's not much left in the tank. I thought you were talking about Seeley rather than Murray there.
Andy Murray is who I'm talking about. Yeah, he's a difficult match for him against Yannick Hanfmann. Hanfmann's a finalist in Kitzbühel on the clay at altitude. He's a finalist in Gstaad on the clay at altitude. So a tough first round match for this 2024 version of Andy Murray, who is kind of, as I said, at the very, very end of his career.
Did you watch that match? Because it looked like the match was postponed. Yeah. It was like a snowstorm. It was incredible.
It was a blossom, wasn't it, or something?
Yeah, it looked like snow from the television, and it was weird. It was crazy.
Yeah, I have that in this garden every day because of this ridiculous tree that Natasha's got, which constantly depositing pollen everywhere. So I'm kind of used to that, but you don't see it very often on a tennis court, that's for sure.
No, it was a strange match, but it's obviously Novak Djokovic is in some action tomorrow or on Thursday. Do you think he's vulnerable against Hanfmann? I think he could struggle there.
Yeah. I mean, when was the last time Novak Djokovic played on clay at altitude? The only time I can think that he's done it in his career, really, is Madrid. He didn't play there this year, so he's not played on clay at altitude since 2022. And I don't think he's ever played Geneva, or if he has, it was many, many years ago. So... we haven't got odds or anything for that yet. I don't know when that match is going to be. I imagine that'll be on Thursday. That would be my guess. We'll probably talk about that in a bit more detail. But Hanfmann is a danger in these conditions, yeah. Especially for a Novak Djokovic who's struggled, all season long, really, so far.
Yeah, we'll be back again tomorrow. I'm at the tennis tomorrow, so it might have to be a little bit later when I come back from the tennis, but we'll be talking about that match. And if it's on Thursday, we'll have the latest odds. And obviously, head to the BetRivers website. They'll have about 40 different markets on all these matches. Obviously, it's quite tricky a week before a major. The French Open obviously starts on Sunday. So we'd say keep your powder a little bit dry with the French Open coming up. But obviously, any stats or any lean, Sean will give you the bets and the official plays. Let's start with the tournament here in Geneva.
The schedule's just out, mate. Sorry to interrupt you. Yeah, he is playing tomorrow, not before 6 p.m. tomorrow, Djokovic.
There you go. So I will see Novak Djokovic tomorrow. It'll be in the evening session, so that'll be quite nice as well to see that if the weather holds out, because there is a lot of rain, showers forecast for the day. So a busy day of tennis action tomorrow, and BetRivers will have you all covered. No lines yet on that Djokovic match. Depending on the line, I think Djokovic might be worth fading. But let's have a look at the matches that we are going to discuss. And the first match we're going to talk about is Sebastian Baez up against Roberto Carballes Baena. Baez here is the Argentinian is minus 215. Carballes Baena is plus 170. On the spread, it's 3.5, with Baez giving up 3.5 at minus 108. Minus 118 for Carballes Baena receiving the start. And the total here is 21.5. Baez has had a good year. He's up to 20 in the world rankings. Carballes Baena is number 62. And they have met twice before. One of them was in a Bundesliga event in 2022. But the one that is important here is Kitzbühel last year, where Baez won very, very easy, 6-1, 6-2. Sebastian Baez did all right last week. He reached around a 16 in Rome. We beat Herbert Hurkacz. And Carballes Baena is not playing that great at the moment. Got beaten a challenger in Bordeaux. Come through a good win here against Altmaier in round one. And the early money, has all come for the favourite. The favourite is being supported, maybe in a parlay. Remember, BetRivers do have some parlay boosts. Maybe you want to put Baez in. What do you think of this one, Sean?
I think it's a good matchup for Baez. I expect him to win this with a bit to spare, to be honest. As you say, they met at altitude last summer in Kitzbühel, and Baez won 6-1, 6-2. And I remember that match. Carballes had a meltdown over a time violation call. He was arguing with the umpire for about 10 minutes, and he didn't really do anything after that. He kind of jacked it in, didn't create a break point, was beaten at his own game of solidity pretty easily by Baez, actually. Both of these players got very good records on clay at altitude, but Baez is basically a better version of Carballes Baena. Carballes doesn't really have a great deal to hurt Baez with. RCB tends to win his matches on consistency, the long rallies, waiting for the odd mistake, pouncing at the right time. Baez does all those things, but he does them better. The last 12 months on clay at main level, Baez 71% win rate, service points won and return points won total of 105, and a hold and break total of 111. Carballes Baena just a 52% win rate, a 101 total on the service points won and return points won, and his hold break total is 99. So I can see why people are wanting to back Baez here. These are the only four matches that we had lines for. They're not necessarily the ones that I would have chosen, but because of the time constraints and when the odds come out, these are the ones we're talking about. I mean, for me, all things being equal, both of these guys have had a match here already to get attuned to the conditions. So Baez minus 3.5 games here looks the way to go if you're getting involved in this. When I had a look earlier, that was around about 1.93 minus 108. I'm not sure if the lines have changed on that one, but that's roughly where I'd be going there, yeah.
It's currently there. It's minus 108. Head across to the BetRivers website. Sebastian Baez has got that very, very easy win the last time they met. Yeah, on the screen, as you can see there, minus 108.
The writing's so small, I can't see it from where I am. But yes, minus 108.
Minus 108 for Sebastian Baez, minus 3.5. Very unusual for Sean Calvert to go with a favourite. Very unusual for Mr. Calvert to go with someone giving up the spread. So
as I said, they're the only matches that we could talk about because they're the only ones with odds. The others they're finishing all the time, aren't they? And then you've got to wait a couple of hours for the lines to come out. And by the time that we have to record this, it's on a Tuesday and sometimes a Wednesday. It's kind of Hobson's choice, isn't it? Which matches we can actually talk about. But if you are getting involved in this, it seems to me like Baez covering the handicap would be the way to go, yeah.
And the money is coming for him at the minus 215, maybe under a bit of pressure. A lot of people, a lot of mind movements for him, and a lot of people want to get with the Argentinian here, Sebastian Baez, who is in good form. The only trouble is motivation ahead of a very open French Open. Maybe a question mark here. Talking of motivation ahead of a French Open, Casper Ruud is a two-time winner here in Geneva.
Yeah.
He's a two-time runner-up at the French Open. Nadal, obviously not at his peak. Player that I know BetRivers are very, very short, very low odds on him compared to other sports books on the chances at the Roland Garros. So they really like Casper Ruud's chances at Roland Garros. And he's a very, very short price favourite here. Minus 670 against Sebastian Ofner, who is plus 450. The spread here is a monster, 5.5. And no surprise to see Ofner minus 162 on the 5.5 spread. And the total is 19.5. Now, I think that's very, very low. I would even go over 20.5 here, but the over on the 19.5 is minus 162. We do know that Ruud isn't in the best of condition coming into this match. He's complained a couple of times. They have met once before on clay in Bastard, and it was 6-3, 6-4 for Ruud, so he didn't cover the 5-game handicap then in 2023. He's seeing support at the low odds. I'm sure it must be people putting him in parlays, but I wouldn't be rushing at all to back Casper Ruud here at minus 670. He only got to the second round of Rome, got beat by Kekmanovic, got beat by Auger-Aliassime in Madrid, and Ofner has come through 3 qualifying matches here and done really well. I think this is a potential banana skin here.
I'm not convinced about Sebastian Ofner this season, to be honest.
I know he's not playing well, but just the timing of this match ahead of the French Open. Casper Ruud at minus 670. If it was like after the French Open or a clay court tournament a month ago, I might see it. But heading into the French Open where Ruud honestly thinks he can win it with his problems he said about his fitness, I can see your point about Ofner, but I just think 670 is worth taking a chance on it in any way. Spread, totals, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I certainly wouldn't be anywhere near the money line, that's for sure. But he tends to do well here, and then he seems to be a player that likes to win a tournament and then go into the French Open. Everyone does it differently. Some players like to have a bit of a rest. They don't like to play this week. Normally, Novak Djokovic is one of them. Some players, they like to be playing. Davydenko was a famous one. Never really did any training. Davydenko just used to like playing match after match after match after match. Just didn't bother to train.
We know why that was.
Well, there could be several reasons for why that was, but his official reason was he just loved playing matches and wasn't really that bothered about the training. But I looked at what Casper Ruud's done here in his opening matches in Geneva. He's played here 3 times, and he's won by 5 games, 6 games, and 8 games in his opening match here. And he hasn't played poor opposition. He's played an Ofner-ish level of opposition in his opening match, and he's never had a problem. I say 5, 6, and 8 games he's covered so far. 5.5 is this spread. I'd perhaps be looking more like 4.5, but you'd need to move that toggle. I didn't see the odds on that. Ofner's just not. He hasn't had a good season at all. He struggled his way past Rinky Hijikata in round 1. Hijikata's not a clay man by any stretch of the imagination, but Ofner made that look difficult. as you said, Ruud beat Ofner 6-3, 6-4 in very, very slow conditions in Borstad last year, I think it was, wasn't it? And he won 17% more second serve points that day and 14% more first serve points. As you mentioned, Ruud did have some sort of injury issue in Rome, which is a little bit off-putting. You wouldn't perhaps want to put him in your parlays with that, but I didn't think that was too serious. He went off court, against Kikmanovic, and he carried on, and now he's down to play here. I can't imagine if he was injured, he would be playing here at all. So I would assume he's fit. I can't imagine he would risk himself a week before the French. I think he just likes coming here. He obviously enjoys the conditions. He's got a 90% win rate here, and his service points won and return points won total at this tournament is 107. So, could hardly be more impressive. If we look at what Ofner's done in the last 12 months on clay at main level, just a 40% win rate and the service points won and return points won total of 99. I can't see it. I can't see Ofner really doing anything here, to be honest. I would be looking at Ruud maybe minus 4.5 games, but I haven't seen the odds on that. Minus 5.5 games is a possibility. It's a big one to cover, but it wouldn't surprise me if he covered it. I'm not sure what Ofner's got at the minute that's going to bother Casper Ruud.
Yeah, I would expect Casper Ruud to be around about minus 125, minus 4.5.
I might chance the minus 5.5. That's perhaps where I'd be going with this if I was getting involved in this match. Not my sort of bet. Neither of these two are particularly, but this is what we've got, and that's where I'd probably be going if I was betting in this one.
Just my way of thinking here. I mean, this is a tournament where we've said about favourites doing pretty poorly, especially in the latter stages, particularly in the semi-finals. We said that in the preview show. Mm-hmm. But going into the French Open this time around, the likes of Casper Ruud, the likes of Sebastian Baez, the likes of anyone down to in the top, any seed really, realistically, 20 people will think they've got a realistic chance of winning the French Open this year with the way that the injuries are coming in and the players are dropping like flies. So I just think potentially, these tournaments in years gone by, the Baezes of the world, the Casper Ruuds of this world going to win them because they really know, well, Nadal's in it, we can go deep, but the chances are we're not going to win the French Open. But now, you might have a lot of these players thinking, we could win the French Open. We don't want to burn ourselves out. So that's my way of thinking here on some of these low-price favourites, because I know traditionally this tournament had some good winners. That's because Rafael Nadal was so dominant and was always going to win at Roland Garros. So I think now that a lot of these players really believe they could go deep and go the furthest they've ever gone in a major.
Yeah, I mean, from Casper Ruud's point of view, he hasn't really played that much, has he? Won Barcelona, but that was virtually exactly a month ago. He's only played 4 matches since then, so he shouldn't really be tired. He shouldn't be unless he is carrying some sort of injury. But I just don't think he'd play here. I don't think he's the kind of guy that would just turn up for the appearance money and just tank it. He doesn't tend to do that. Certainly not during the clay swing. He probably has done in maybe hard court tournaments in Asia on the Asian swing, something like that. But I'm not sure I could see Casper Ruud turning up here at all if he wasn't in the sort of same frame of mind that he has been in previous years, where he's turned up and won it most of the time. But we'll see.
I quite like the total games over. I'm going to play it on the overs in the set one, and then I expect Ruud to probably come through. But it's on the money line at minus 670.
Yeah, I wouldn't be anywhere near that.
You've got to be very brave to get involved in that. But there are people getting involved, and if you want to have a parlay, I'm not putting you off. Sebastian Baez, Sean is very keen on. You got Ruud, you got some other short price favourites, Djokovic, if you want to put him in. If you do have a parlay, remember BetRivers have a net gains daily parlay boost. Score more value on your tennis parlay each day with the BetRivers net gains profit boost. Log in every day to claim your profit boost for a tennis parlay, then make your tennis parlay of at least 3 legs. Each leg must have odds of minus 150 or longer. Depending on your loyalty level, you'll get a boost of at least 25% and as much as 50%. See the BetRivers app for more details and grab your parlay boost. Remember, these are early start, 5 a.m. Eastern Time. The action gets underway at Geneva. And if you do have a bet on the BetRivers app, you can watch live and bet live with BetRivers. Place a bet and you'll be able to watch your match on your tablet, on your mobile device, or on your laptop. Now, there are 2 tournaments going on this week on the ATP Tour. This one here in Geneva, it's a 250 event. And there is also a 250 event not too far away here, about an hour and a half drive in Lyon. And we have 2 matches we are going to discuss in Lyon. And the first match, before we go into the match, Sean, what's the conditions like? What do you watch? What are you seeing at Lyon?
It's been kind of similar to Geneva, really, in the sense that rain's been threatened but hasn't really arrived much. That said, Wednesday, according to my forecast, 12.2 millimetres of rain is expected. However, the forecast suggests that a lot of it is going to be at night when play's finished. So it might be playable. It looks like it might be playable for most of the day in Lyon tomorrow. It doesn't look like it's going to be sunny. It'll be kind of overcast and a little bit rainy. You know, it'll be one of those days where there's a few dribbles of rain, but on a clay court, I'm not sure it's going to be enough to kind of suspend the play. But rain's threatened, but I don't think it's going to wipe out the play at all.
You have me over here in Geneva, covering Geneva, and you have Sean in Lyon, covering Lyon, but he's in Lyon C. Anyway, let's...
I hope it's nicer in Lyon than it is in Lyon C. That's one thing I hope.
He's in Lyon C. Okay, the number one seed, Hugo Humbert. Well, this is a good tournament for French players. French players have done exceptionally well. I can't imagine Hugo Humbert doing very well. I don't think he's going to be suited by the conditions, but he is a heavy favourite here at minus 190 to beat Dominik Koepfer. Dominik Koepfer is plus 148. The spread is minus 1.5. Humbert is a heavy favourite on that as well, minus 162. Koepfer is plus 120, receiving 1.5, and the total is 22.5. If you look at the head-to-head, they met this year in Miami in quick conditions. Surprisingly, Koepfer won. He lost the first set and he come back and won. They've also played in a couple of futures and a challenger event as well previous to that. And if you look at those head-to-heads, it's Koepfer who is 3-1 up on the head-to-heads, but the only one that really matters is this year in Miami. I can't imagine Humbert liking these conditions unless it's going to be lightning quick. He's got to the quarterfinals in Monte Carlo, though. He had a pretty relatively easy route, though, through to those quarterfinals, and he ran into Casper Ruud where he got beat. But minus 190 does seem a little bit... It's a little bit...
It's short.
I think Koepfer's a little bit overpriced at plus 148 here.
Yeah, this is about the matchup for me, and Humbert, he's very short on the head-to-head, and his record generally against left-handers. You know, neither man enjoys the clay. You know, both Koepfer and Humbert would have enjoyed the conditions in Miami when they played there. Although it was a night match and it was a bit windy, so it was not great for Humbert in the end. You know, the solidity of Koepfer on this surface, it really should test the patience of Humbert. Humbert has been more patient this season, less likely to sort of bail out and try the flashy winner. That's what's allowed him to get to the quarterfinals of the Monte Carlo Masters. But we look at what Humbert's done versus left-handers. Obviously, Koepfer's a left-hander as well. Humbert against left-handers at main level, 41% win rate in his career, and a service points won and return points won total of 98. Now, if we compare that with all players at main level, he has a 52% win rate and a 101 total. So there's a clear drop-off for Humbert so far in his career against fellow left-handers. He's not been as effective against fellow lefties as he has against right-handers. Now, Koepfer's the other way around. Koepfer versus left-handers at main level, 53% win rate and a service points won and return points won total of 99. Koepfer against all players at main level, 45% win rate and a 98 total. So he actually performs better against left-handers than right-handers, and Humbert is the other way around. So immediately there's kind of alarm bells ringing as far as Humbert's concerned. What is he, minus 190? That's... Yeah, I mean, then you bring the head-to-head, this specific left-hander, in this case Koepfer, across their four-match series. I know some of them were a little while ago, but Humbert, service points won and return points won total 99.5, Koepfer 100.5, so very, very close. Just a 1 point in it, but it does favour Koepfer. As you said, Koepfer won in Miami. He was a plus 247 chance, 3.47 chance that day when he won in March. Was very windy that day. It was a night match actually, and Humbert hit 41 unforced errors. So that's what Koepfer's going to try and do again. He's going to try with his consistency. He'll try and squeeze a lot of the errors out of Humbert, and Humbert's going to have to be very, very patient, or be on one of his lights out days, which he can have on any surface. But in sort of slowish conditions, I imagine it'll be a bit of drizzle around. I can't imagine it's going to be lightning quick tomorrow in Lyon. It feels like an overs game to me. I do like the over 22.5 games there. I think if you gave Hugo Humbert now a straight sets win, he'd sign up for that in a heartbeat. I think he'll see this as a tricky match, having played him 4 times, only beaten him once. over 22.5 games. That is, what is that? Minus 110, I think, in BetRivers, isn't it? Yeah, I'm going to take that as my official play for today. I think this is going to be, if Humbert's going to get through this, I think he's going to have to do it the hard way.
Yeah, Humbert, Koepfer over 22.5 games is Sean's official play. What about over 10.5 in set one? Again, could be quite tight in set one. Play a few tie breaks, these two as well. Humbert.
Yeah, I'm not really keen on the slow clay on that. I mean, they could break their way to an overs, I suppose, but I don't know about that. I wouldn't put anybody off over 2.5 sets either. Actually, at a slightly bigger price. I feel like this could be one where it's going to go all the way, or certainly the vast majority of the way.
Yep, does look a close one to call. A lot closer than the odds would suggest there. Minus 190, Hugo Humbert. Very, very short to me. Koepfer on the money line at plus 148. Maybe a hint of value in my opinion. Let's move on to the final match in Lyon. Probably the best match of the day, actually. Two South Americans going head-to-head in a war of attrition on a slow court in France. Tomas Martin Etcheverry is the favourite, minus 125. Seyboth Wild is even money. The spread here is 1.5. It's minus 120. Take your choice, really. The total's a lot higher, though. It's 23.5, the highest of the day, with over plus 120 and under minus 162. When I first looked at these prices, Sean, I thought BetRivers may have had the wrong favourite. Seyboth Wild's done enough for me on the clay to suggest that, I thought he might be favourite, despite the ranking. And then I looked at the head-to-head, and Etcheverry's had most of the winning record against these two. He wins 3-1. Again, very similar to the Humbert match. 3 of those matches in challenger events. And the only one that's really of significance was this year in Rome, where Etcheverry won 6-3, 7-5. So that put me off a little bit. So my first reaction was I thought Seyboth Wild at evens was a bet. I also wanted to be on Seyboth Wild to win the tournament at the beginning of the week.
He's very mercurial, Seyboth. If you're on a great week, he's feeling great, and he's feeling like everything he's hitting is going in, then you've got a chance. But I talked about this match in one of the previews we did, one of the shows we did during Rome. And I did say at the time that Etcheverry was a hint of value because he was a slight underdog that day. Seyboth was favourite, and there's no basis for me statistically for making him favourite. The head-to-head, as you said, is 3-1 to Etcheverry in terms of service points won and return points won totals. It's 102 to 98 in favour of the Argentinian across their 4-match series. And just going deeper into that head-to-head, Etcheverry's won 61% of the second serve points in this matchup, compared to just 50% for Seyboth Wild. So he's been much the steadier man, which is generally what this matchup is about. Seyboth Wild's the flashy one, Etcheverry's the steady one. If we look at the last 12 months at main level on clay, again, it's Etcheverry some way ahead actually in terms of the clay stats. Etcheverry 61% win rate and a service points won and return points won total of 105. And his hold and break total is 107. Seyboth Wild, just a 52% win rate, a service points won and return points won total of 100, and a service hold and break total of 100. So Etcheverry's quite a way ahead on the last 12 months at main level on clay. A good win for Seyboth against Martinez today, but I think that could be slightly misleading because Martinez must have been exhausted. He got all the way to the final at the Challenger last week, so I can't imagine he had much in his legs. He played a ton of tennis lately, Martinez. It feels like Etcheverry, he has the success in this matchup because he's the more patient guy, he's the more solid guy, he has a better attitude when things aren't going his way, as they didn't, surprisingly, in his first round against the qualifier. He really struggled and then turned it round impressively. With Seyboth, you get the feeling like if it's going his way, great. If it's not, see you later half the time. He doesn't kind of knuckle down and try something new or be more patient or do something different. He'll just go away far too easily, which is why his stats, for me, are quite some way inferior to Etcheverry at this level. So I would be going with Etcheverry here. The price is a little bit short for my liking. I feel like if Seyboth comes out flashy, all guns blazing, maybe goes a break up, then I'd be interested in Etcheverry in play. If you can get a little bit of plus money, I think that's where I'd be going here. Etcheverry, if you can get about minus 110, maybe just after the start, then do so. But yeah, I feel like Etcheverry will probably come out the winner in the end. He certainly, statistically, is a decent favourite.
I'm looking now to see where the early flurries of money are coming, to see whether we may get a bigger price. the money is certainly coming for Seyboth Wild. So we may hit that -110.
Okay.
I think the even money Seyboth will be under pressure. So I expect a little bit of a drift towards Etcheverry, and that might mean that he is a little bit of value. I think it's a Fickham game. I think it's a 50-50 game. But we'll see what happens. It's going to be an interesting one, obviously. Remember, there is a whole host of tennis action. As I said, the order of play starts at 5 a.m. Eastern time. There's a lot of favourites in action. There's two big Americans. TFO is in action over in Lyon. Taylor Fritz is also playing in Geneva. And obviously, we've got Novak Djokovic. You may want to parlay them up. So remember that parlay boost with BetRivers. Make sure you head across to the app to make sure you get that parlay boost on your players. And remember, download the podcast, Betting Weekly Game Bet Match, on your preferred podcast provider. Subscribe to Betting Weekly Studios on YouTube. Lots of new subscribers on there. Welcome along. Thank you very much. Where have you been for the last 18 months? And follow us on our socials at Because We Win on our Instagram page and on Twitter. You'll be able to follow my action here over in Geneva tomorrow when I'm at the tennis. And obviously we've got so much coming up as well with the Euro 2024 finals only a matter of weeks away. This time next week or the weekend, it's the start of the French Open, the second major of 2024. And obviously got the Champions League final in the soccer. You've also got the Europa League final this Wednesday, and there's a great show on that. The guys have just uploaded on the YouTube channel as well, Betting Weekly Studios. So everything is covered for you here. You don't have to do the work. We do it for you, and it's better when we win together. Sean, thank you very much for your time. I will catch you tomorrow. Not quite sure what time we're going to do tomorrow because I'm going to be sort of coming back from the tennis, but it may be into a little bit later on in the evening. But when we have the podcast, we'll be dropping and we'll be posting on our social media accounts as well. So keep across that and make sure you ring that bell, subscribe to the channel so you do not miss anything that drops live. Have a good day, Sean. Take care, and we'll speak to you all again. Do it all again tomorrow. Hopefully, cash some tickets. Just before we go, Sean, one official play, yeah?
Yeah, the one official play, which is over 22.5 games in the match between Humbert and Koepfer.
Yeah, there it is. One official play. Good luck with that. Good luck with all your bets. Remember that parlay boost. Head across to BetRivers now. Take care.